RPGs. People love them, and I can't get enough of them. Every one of those games you see right there is an RPG. It's my favorite genre, and it seems game developers have been trying to find ways to make them more unique and fun in their own special way. With so many RPGs out there, it's hard to pick out some of the best of the best. But over the past couple of months, I asked friends, family, fans, subscribers, and anyone I can reach out to give me some of their best RPGs of all time. And favorites. After tallying up the votes and results, I compiled a top 10 list of the best RPGs based on fans. Don't worry, my personal list will be coming before long. This is just something I knew I've been wanting to try, and what better way to start it off than with the subject I'm insanely familiar with. If the list seems a little series heavy, then I'm sorry, don't blame me. This is from you guys. So sit back and enjoy as I count down the top 10 best RPGs, my friends and fans. Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana for the Super Nintendo is an extremely revolutionary RPG for its time. Back when RPGs were generally turn-based with Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior for the NES, Secret of Mana turned that concept upside down and let you fight in real time with free flow. They gave it one of the first RPGs that had a lot of strategy in the fights that didn't involve just menus. You were able to attack, block, and dodge enemies freely. Well, to an extent. The graphics and music for this game were exceptional. They really pushed the limits to what the Super Nintendo was capable of. With an engaging story and a state-of-the-art battle system for its time, it's easy to see why this gem is number 10 on the list. Paper Mario. Paper Mario, the spiritual successor to the successful Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo, is the first game in a long-running series released for the Nintendo 64, after people were clamoring that they wanted a second Super Mario RPG. What we got was something completely different, but something equally spectacular. What we got was a quirky, witty game where Mario and everything in the game is made of paper. A funny story with all the puns and randomness you would expect in a Mario game is there, and to top it off, the battle system is surprisingly pretty deep for a Mario game. Adds some pretty good gameplay mechanics and different powers that you can do with paper, and a witty story, and you can see why people fell in love with the game, and why it's number 9 on the list. Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door. Paper Mario, The Thousand-Year Door for the Nintendo GameCube is the second game in the Paper Mario series and the sequel to Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. After the success of Paper Mario, a sequel was inevitable, and The Thousand-Year Door came along. The Thousand-Year Door took everything that was good about Paper Mario for the 64 and made it better twofold. Double the action, double the story, double the gameplay. Everything that was excellent about Paper Mario is on full display here, and it's easy to see why it's number 8 on the list. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X for the PlayStation 2 was one of the first games released for the system back in 2001. People were hyped up for the game and what Final Fantasy would look like in the next generation after the success of the games on the PlayStation 1. What we got was a lot of firsts in the series. Final Fantasy X was the first to have voice acting. Although not the best acting in the world,
probably shouldn't laugh anymore.
It showed what the PlayStation 2 was capable of and what the future held in the series. Also, not the first in the series, it was one of the first to not have a traditional level-up system, instead using a sphere grid to level up your stats and gain abilities. Also a first is that you can switch in your party members in and out at will during battles. With summons, a pretty unique battle mechanic, and for the most part an engaging story. Although not one of my personal favorite RPGs, it can be seen why a lot of people do love the game, and it's number 7 on the list. Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX for the PlayStation 1 was the final Final Fantasy game released for the system in 2000. Originally not even slated for a main release, instead being a side story, it was eventually made into a main game. And what a game it was! Bringing back the fantasy setting that was missing in Final Fantasy 7 and 8. Every character is important in the game, well except for one. And each having their own job class. The game also alludes to all the previous Final Fantasies in the series, paying homage to their roots. The traditional level up system has returned and you can learn abilities like the materia system from Final Fantasy VII. With a funny, quirky, yet sometimes dark story, fun battle system, and overall fun game that pays tribute to all other Final Fantasies for it, it's obvious to see why it's number 6 on the list. Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars is a Squaresoft Nintendo collaboration released for the Super Nintendo in 1996. Mario, originally known for only platforming before this, Mario gets his debut in the RPG genre, and what a game it was. Extremely witty, funny, and overall lighthearted and playful, the game takes a more lighthearted and humorous turn than what traditional RPGs were in that day. Also for having the right amount of difficulty and a pretty good battle system. And for the first time, being able to play with Bowser, the game had everything that you could want in a Mario RPG. Except for Luigi, who again gets no love. And the music being top notch as well. Just listen to the song in the background. With awesome music, a great story, funny and witty characters, and just the right amount of difficulty in gameplay, it's extremely easy to see why this game is number 5 on the list. Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is an RPG released by Squaresoft for the Super Nintendo in 1995. For many people, this is the very first RPG they have ever played, and it is a masterpiece. The story is exceptional, playing a time travel epic where you travel throughout all time in history to save the world. The characters are wide and diverse, ranging from a cave girl from the far past to a robot from the future. It is also one of the few games to have multiple endings, with at least 9 in total. The gameplay is exceptional too, with it being a traditional RPG style with a twist. With lots of combo and team moves, there is so much you can do with and customize. And the music is top notch with songs like Zeal Temple. With an exceptional story, diverse characters, and many playthroughs to get all the endings, Chrono Trigger is a worthy spot for number 4 on this list. Final Fantasy VII. What can be said about Final Fantasy VII that hasn't already been said? Released in 1997 for the PlayStation 1, the game is probably one of the most revolutionary and well-known RPGs in existence. For many people, this is the RPG that brought the name to the Western world. An engaging story, a complex battle system, a materia system that hasn't been seen before or since, and an overall badass villain in terms of speaking. The characters are memorable, the plot twists are amazing, and it has perhaps one of the most recognizable scenes in video game history. With everything that is amazing about the game, although ironically it's not one of my favorites, it's clear to see why this game is number 3 on the list. Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV, also known as Final Fantasy II originally in the Western world, was released for the Super Nintendo in 1994. The first game in the series on a new-gen console, it had updated graphics and a story worth remembering. The story was one of redemption and revenge. It had near deaths, a great villain, and an overall great story. The battle system wasn't anything that we haven't seen from previous Final Fantasies, but it really picked up the pace and made the game an event to remember. With a great story, memorable characters, great music, and overall epic feel to it, it's very easy to see why this game is number 2 on the list. Before I start, I would like to make a correction from number 2. Final Fantasy IV was released in 1991, not 1994. Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI, also known as Final Fantasy III originally in the Western world, was released for the Super Nintendo in 1994. There really isn't that much to say that hasn't already been said about this masterpiece of a game. From the music to the story, this game had everything to make the game totally epic. The soundtrack had some of the best tracks of the series, from Celis' theme, the opera theme, and Dancin' Mad. The story is a basic story, at first, of a resistance trying to take down an empire, but when the villain comes in, everything changes. This villain, Kefka, is perhaps one of the best villains in video game history and actually does what many villains say they are going to do: destroy the world! From equipment customization, relics, epic story, epic music, and one of the best villains in history, Final Fantasy VI is extremely worthy to be the top spot of the top 10 best RPGs, based on subscribers and fans. I hope you enjoyed this list. After all, this list was voted by you guys. Thanks for the support, and yes, even though it took me almost 10 months to make, I love doing this, and I'll have some more top 10 lists on the way. Coming soon will be my personal top 10 favorite RPGs, so stay tuned for that. And have a good day.